Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us here on Rwanda Television News. We hope you had yourselves a very restful and productive day. Now, top of our edition tonight, these are our headlines. The government of Rwanda has again reiterated the acts of aggression from the DRC that threaten the safety of Rwandans will not be tolerated. Rwandan parliamentarians have denounced the latest report of the organization Human Rights Watch, noting that the organization has continued to be a tool of those who hate Rwanda. Glad to have your company tonight once again, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. As we begin this edition, let us quickly inform you that President Paul Kagame is currently in Riyadh for the 7th edition of the Future Investment Initiative and was received by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Abdulaziz, the Deputy Governor of Riyadh region in the Kingdom. The Future Investment Initiative Institute is a non-profit organization run by the Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia's main sovereign wealth fund. It started in 2017 as an annual event, bringing people together to invest in the most promising solutions, and has since become much more. The government of Rwanda has again reiterated the acts of aggression from the DRC that threaten the safety of Rwandans will not be tolerated, and that even though the international community has remained silent in the face of hate speech and actions from DRC government that seek to perpetrate hatred towards Rwanda and Rwandophones in the DRC, Rwanda will remain committed to securing her border with that country.
In Rubavu district of the Western Province was struck and injured by a stray bullet fired from across the border with the DRC as armed groups exchanged fire in that country close to the border, and that the injured civilian was given medical attention. The spokesperson of the government of Rwanda has denounced the incident as another result of the DRC's government failing to implement agreements it committed itself to, opting instead to support some of the illegal armed groups fighting in its own country, including the genocidal FDLR.
This is a DRC problem, so they have to sort themselves out. The region has come together. The leaders of this region are working hard, mostly committed to ensuring that peace is restored to that part of DRC. So it's a DRC problem. Where we come in as Rwanda is nothing should threaten our territorial integrity. We do not want any spillover of the conflict in DRC into Rwanda, and we have put in place measures to ensure that it doesn't spill over. We're grateful that we did not have any casualties with the incident that happened yesterday when two of these illegal armed groups that are supported by the DRC government clashed among themselves. I don't know for what reason, but we saw the consequences because it's right at our border. And this is what we constantly tell the region and the international community, that what is happening in the DRC, in eastern DRC, is a threat to our security because it's close to our border. We want peace, we want continued development.
The Rwandan government spokesperson also noted on some of the political tactics employed by the DRC's government as the world looks on.
I'm talking specifically about the proliferation of hate speech that is followed by attacks on people. We've seen that people have been attacked, people have died, homes have been burnt, property has been destroyed, all as a result of the hateful rhetoric that is propagated at the highest level of government, including by the security organs in the DRC. The Special Envoy on Prevention of Genocide at the UN, Alice Nderitu, issued two statements about this. This is something that the UN itself needs to take seriously because it's coming from within. These statements that she put out warning about the proliferation of hate speech and warning about the attacks on these targeted communities in the DRC were basically ignored by the mainstream media. They're not taken into consideration by other parts of the UN system. But this information has to be used to ensure the protection of all civilians, not just some.
Last week, members of the group that calls itself Wazalendo using civilians as cover, approached Rwanda's border threatening to attack and using hate speech towards Rwandans and DRC nationals that speak Kinyarwanda, usually referred to as Rwandophones. Since November last year, Rwanda has received an additional 15,000 Congolese nationals fleeing insecurity in their own country.
Rwandan parliamentarians have denounced the latest report of the organization Human Rights Watch, noting that organization has continued to be a tool of those who hate Rwanda, and decided that they are going to look into the report itself to uncover the motives behind it.
I indicated that this report is not accurate and it is impartial. Even looking at the history of the Human Rights Watch from its founding, it was founded on premise that it would monitor how the civil society in the Eastern blocs then, during the Cold War, were observing the human rights, but ignoring the fact that human rights violations are not in one location of the world. You could find it anywhere else, but it ignored the fact that even in the West, where which I believe was supporting it, could also be violating human rights. But they focused it on one particular region, and therefore what I meant here was that even this report tries to come up with a narrative on a country like Rwanda, for instance, without providing any evidence of the violations of human rights that they purport to be presenting in their reports. When you look at all the information that is in the report, they have not tried to provide any concrete evidence. The other thing I talked about was that we have the Human Rights Commission of Rwanda, which actually not only scrutinizes issues to do with human rights in the country, but it also goes down to the grassroots. And when you look at the report, which we receive annually, and what this report is talking about, the human rights report is talking about, they are two different things. And yet the Rwanda Human Rights Commission provides evidence on every aspect of violations that they present in the report. So really what I wanted to say was that the Human Rights Watch is biased, it's not accurate, it's impartial, and doesn't provide evidence in all the information they provide in the reports. And therefore, like our colleague Honorable Vod proposed, I think there's a need to scrutinize this report by the commissions in the parliament so that we can provide counter evidence. Like you have seen, we have agreed in the Senate a short while ago that this report will be scrutinized by the commission of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Cooperation and Security, jointly with the one in the National Assembly or the Chamber of Deputies. They will have enough time to scrutinize all that is in the report. And then they'll be able to come up with a proposal that will be presented to the plenary. It could be in the form of a communique, or it could even be a resolution. So, but that's what we expect from the two commissions.
Thank you.
Yeah, they'll have enough time to scrutinize the report, item by item, perhaps do further consultations with the purported, because they're talking about even some Rwandese within the country that have relatives abroad who are being harassed. It will be easy to get in touch with them and find out whether some of what is being said in this report is correct. So I think at the end of it, once the two committees meet, hopefully we'll be able to come up with a declaration or a recommendation on what can be done.
Be rest assured I will not revisit any message from Kenny Lord, who I had encounters with in the past. But unfortunately, the message is still the same. I had a sigh of relief thinking that since he was gone, everything will be okay. But nothing has changed. Human Rights Watch is still the same. A corrupt organization, biased organization, a friend of genociders. Our friend here should be congratulated for initiating this discussion in the House. A House of 11 parties, parties that will never throw chairs to different party members. We come to a consensus. That is the Rwanda we live in. Talk of political space, human rights. Rwanda is at peace with the political space we are enjoying. Go and get all the stuff that you need from all the enemies of Rwanda. Unfortunately, you never step a foot in Rwanda as a researcher to find raw materials for your report. No wonder you rely on hearsay stuff from genociders. You are enjoying the bed of those genociders. Stay in that bed with them. Rwanda will stay the course, no matter what you say. Just dare come here. You don't need a visa. You'll get to send your researchers. You don't need a visa. You'll get visas at the airport. No struggles. Then you'll find the true Rwanda you are trying to tarnish the image of. This is total harassment, 1 year after the other, and we can't say it should be enough. But if you can't stand the heat, you better get out of the kitchen, try somewhere else. Rwanda is doing beautifully.
Now, as Rwandans gear up for yet again another exciting weekend, joining us here in the studio is Uwase Mutimura, the marketing manager of BK Arena. She's going to be shedding light on the Boys to Men concert slated for this weekend on the 28th of October. Hey, Uwase.
Hi, Martina.
I'm very good. Thank you so much for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so now my first question to you is, why Boys to Men?
Well, the question is maybe why not? We are fans. There's so many Boys to Men fans in the country. They've been doing lots of tours around the world. Why can Rwanda not be part of that tour belt? So what we are trying to achieve or present to Rwanda and Rwandans at BK Arena is the fact that we can have these international events. Just like if you're in Paris or in New York, we have the facilities, we have the infrastructure, so why not have it, here at home as well?
Yes, the question is why not? Yeah. So Boys to Men came as a huge shock in general, but in a positive way. So could you please shed some light or describe the reception of the news from the Rwandan audience? And if you could let us know, are there any future plans to bring more artists like this to the country?
Yes, so yes, it was a shock, because it's not something that we would have expected from ourselves. But what we keep hearing is, I never imagined that I would be able to watch Boys to Men in Kigali. So people are very, very excited about it. And in the future, so this is going to be the first of many. We are, as much as we like to do the Trace Awards and the youth-centric awards, we also want to cater to, more mature audiences and provide experiences for them as well. So look out for more.
Yes, that's great. And what should people expect from the show? Because like you just said, people are excited. People never saw this coming. Yeah. So what is the mood? What is the atmosphere? What should people expect?
Just basically all the songs that you grew up listening to, the clips that you may have seen online of live shows, you'll see it live and in color in front of you. It's basically the best of R&B, the best of the highest selling R&B group in history. So it's a once in a lifetime experience and opportunity, because you never know with these kinds of things. You don't know if these guys are going to decide tomorrow, maybe let's just hang it all up, because we've been doing this for about 30 years, So yeah, if you can, come through. We still have some tickets. They are going to run out very soon. So yeah, come through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does this mean for Rwandans in general and for the entertainment industry in Rwanda?
So for Rwandans in general, it's just having a higher expectation of what we are capable of. You know, at every turn, I think we are making history in the region, and we're capable of that. There's nothing stopping us. So really, if we want to do something, we can achieve it at any point. For what it means for the industry in general, it is maybe a challenge for the Rwandan industry to start like edging towards the international quality of work. And this would be for the live part of the industry, you know, the production parts, for performances, for the business end of it. So it's like basically showing us, you know what, we have these people coming in, we need to kind of level up to the same level, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And maybe last but not least, how can people be able to access the tickets, the pricing? We have been seeing it on different social media platforms.
Yes.
Maybe you can shed more light on that.
Yeah.
And let people know that maybe the tickets are running out. So where can people find out the information about the ticket pricing and how to access them?
Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to say is please stop being the last minute type people to try to get the ticket on the day, because the likelihood is there will not be any tickets. So where you would get the tickets are on tickets.rw. It is an online platform. We currently have the gold tickets, which are 75,000 francs, are about 70% sold out now. We have silver tickets at 50,000 francs. And if you buy with your BK Arena prepaid card, you get a 30% discount. You can get the BK Arena prepaid card at any BK branch and at BK Arena between 11 and 7 p.m. up until Friday. So yes, there's really no excuse. Go ahead and get those tickets.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And maybe any last words as people get ready for the weekend filled with nostalgia and music from the classics?
Well, you know, what I would say is like really take the time to maybe go onto YouTube, listen to those Voice to Men songs that you may not have listened to in a while. Really get your head into it so that when you are there, you can sing along, remind yourself of the lyrics, you know, so you make it a bigger, more beautiful experience for you and whoever you're coming with.
Yes, thank you very much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Once again, we were with Uwase Mutimura, the marketing manager for BK Arena. Now, some MPs representing various countries on the African continent as well as from Asia who are in Rwanda in a 3-day conference say there is need to evaluate the effectiveness of what is agreed upon regarding improving the social welfare and health of citizens of their respective countries if it is well implemented as convened. Olive Nete with more.
Even with this noteworthy progress,
the parliamentarians from different countries of Africa and Asia emphasize on the fact that Africa has the largest number of young people, yet it is still among the continents that still has a population struggling with development. According to Jean-Henriette Mukabikino, the president of the Network of Rwandan Parliamentarians on Population and Development, and Fred Otter, the vice president of the African Parliamentarian Forum, it is the responsibilities of the parliament to ensure a sustainable development of citizens they represent. As Africa and Asia, we joined efforts looking at the same perspective. We should evaluate what hinders the development of a Rwandan, African, or an Asian. Yes, Africa has the largest number of young people, and they are the future of the country. But we need also to put into consideration this. What does those young people do? And if Africa has a large population of young people, they should be a solution to the problems facing the continent instead of being a problem to the continent.
The core of the meeting today is to reaffirm the commitment that as we go back to our various countries, we must follow up with our governments to make sure that those agenda that we intend to achieve in terms, like I say, in healthcare, gender violence, and various challenges that we face as African must be achieved within the shortest time within 2030. And that's why we are here to remind ourselves and asking each and every member from various countries, how are you doing it, especially people from Rwanda? How are you making the Rwandan government accountable to achieve all these challenges? I'm coming from Kenya. How do we make the Kenyan government achieve all these challenges? And so this one we must do constantly every few months to remind ourselves that we must achieve the highest standard of our challenges in Africa.
According to Honorable Donatil Mukabarisa, the Speaker of Chamber of Deputies, progress has been made regarding reducing maternal mortality rate, where in 2002 it was 227 per 100,000 live births, and it reduced to 48 per 100,000 live births in 2022. She also noted that the number of mothers who give birth at hospitals increased from 27% in 2000 to 93% in 2023. According to Honorable Donatil, the role of parliamentarians in the making and enforcement of the law is key.
As we conduct our self-assessment, scrutinizing the implementation progress of our respective governments, it is important that we recognize the critical role played by parliamentarians in shaping laws and align with our respective executive branches, but also in holding governments accountable, especially in implementation of the Addis Ababa Declaration on Population Development and International Conference on Population Development Commitments, while evaluating the actual impact on the citizens' lives.
The African and Asian Parliamentarians Dialogue towards International Conference on Population Development ICPD 30 and Addis Ababa Declaration on Population Development AADPD 10 is being held in Kigali for 3 days. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive, for that report. The Rwanda Environment Management Authority has noted that the country's eastern and southern provinces are most at risk of facing drought, while the northern and southern provinces are being threatened by floods that every year the country loses the equivalent of 1% of its GDP because of the effects of climate change. The observations were made as researchers met on the second day of a meeting here in Kigali on the effects of climate change.
One of our mandate is to advise the government on various environment and climate change issues. But to be in the position to do so, we have to advise the government basing on science and facts. So that's why we are conducting various regular assessments. PAR presented about the State of Environment report, which we are conducting every 4 years, Vulnerability Index report, which we are conducting every 5 years, and other different robust assessment reports, including national communication reports and others, greenhouse gases inventory of every 2 years. So all of those reports, all those assessments are conducted in the bid of having tangible and vivid facts to advise the government on which policy we can put in place or which direction we can orient our journey of building resilience of this country.
We currently implementing IDRC funded program, we call it program, where we train master students, the next generation of climate scientists, like master students, PhD students, and having also some postdocs, mentoring them, giving grants to, small grants to young researchers, but also women, giving also grants to women, so that they can undertake their research for about 1 year or 1 year and a half for their own development as well. We're also doing research. In terms of research, we actually span all the spectra of climate change, from adaptation to mitigation. Basically, we're using mathematics to try to find those kind of solutions. But we also do the physical science part, which is in my group, for example, where we develop climate change information for different sectors in Africa, but taking into account the whole Africa, not only Rwanda, but Rwanda, of course, is part of it. And yeah, so our main objective, of course, is to publish these results, all right, in peer-reviewed journals.
Rwanda is looking to reduce greenhouse gases by 38% come 2030, and the initiative will cost $11 billion to achieve. Now, as the organization Mezo Shalom marks its 30th anniversary in Rwanda, a school has been inaugurated to help the NGO to continue fulfilling its responsibilities of promoting education as a way of helping the needy in society. The event was also attended by Belgium's ambassador to Rwanda, and he noted that helping the needy in society is everybody's responsibility in order to assist the country to develop faster. Mezo Shalom was originally founded in Burundi back in 1993. Now, Rwanda is in need of 10,000 certified accountants for the country's accounting profession to be able to stand on good footing, yet it currently has less than 1,000, affecting many of the country's sectors and institutions. In the last 15 years since the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda was founded, the number of certified accountants in the country has increased from just 98 to the current 992, but there is still a long way to go. ICPAR has committed itself to ensuring that the goal of 10,000 certified accountants in the next 10 years. And that report marks the end of our bulletin tonight. We would like to thank you very much for sticking with us on RTV News. My name is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a great night.